In the next verses in chapter 4, beginning in verse 8 and running through verse 16, we have the very famous account or infamous account of Cain killing his brother Abel because Cain brought a sacrifice to God with the wrong heart and was rejected by God. He becomes angry, becomes jealous, and that's going to lead directly to murder. Verse 8, Cain spoke to Abel his brother, and when they were in the field, Cain rose up against his brother Abel and killed him. Just like that. Murder. This is the first murder of the Bible. And then the Lord said to Cain, "Where is Abel your brother?" He said, "I do not know. Am I my brother's keeper?" Now we learn throughout the rest of the Bible, and in particular when we get into the New Testament, yes, we are. We are our brother's keepers. That's part of love. Love is when someone else becomes more important than you. And no greater love as this than a man lays down his life for his friends, not takes the life of his enemy. And Jesus will show that on the cross where he lays down his life for us. Cain's got it backwards, and he's denying his responsibility. Unlike Adam and Eve, who sinned but then confessed their sin, Cain is trying to hide. And so God calls him on it. Lord said in verse 10, "What is this you have done? The voice of your brother's blood is crying to me from the ground." Uh-oh. So don't forget, this is the first murder. This is something like Cain thinks he got away with it, and all of a sudden, God knows there is this testimony that's coming from actually the blood of his brother. And so here God gets right to the punishment for Cain. And he says to him, "And now you are cursed from the ground." This is an interesting phrase because remember, Adam's discipline was that he was going to have to work the ground. The ground was going to be an enemy to him. He was going to have to work from the ground to feed his belly. And so Adam is going to have this antagonistic relationship with thorns and thistles. It's going to, bear its fruit for you. But Cain is actually going to be cursed from the ground. So that's another level of discipline on God's part, or punishment in this case. So he says, "And you are cursed from the ground," verse 11, "which has opened its mouth to receive your brother's blood from your hand." So you see the punishment there is he killed and spilled the blood on the ground, and now the ground itself is going to reject Cain. "When you work the ground, it shall no longer yield to you its strength. You shall be a fugitive and a wanderer on the earth." So don't forget that Cain works in the fields. Cain is a farmer. Cain has made his living, so to speak, by farming. That's his sustenance. So here, the very means by which he supports himself is being ripped from him because of his sin. And now he's going to have to wander through the earth. The point is sort of living hand to mouth in a very difficult existence. But Cain, rather than repenting before the Lord, he complains and he says, "My punishment is greater than I can bear." So Cain's punishment is that he's going to be a fugitive on the earth. He's going to have to live sort of hand to mouth. He was a farmer. This is how he made his living. But now he's going to be rejected by the ground itself. And unlike Adam and Eve, who confessed their sin before God, Cain is still fighting. And now he's complaining. He says, "My punishment is greater than I can bear." Verse 14, "Behold, you have driven me today away from the ground, and from your face I shall be hidden. I shall be a fugitive and a wanderer on the earth, and whoever finds me will kill me." Stop right there. Hey, wait a second. I thought it was Adam and Eve, Cain, Abel. Where did all these other people come from? Can't tell you how many times I hear that question. It actually has a very simple simple answer to it, if you think about it. Also understand, not everything that happens in everybody's lives is written in the Bible. It's only following the story and the storyline that God gives. So it's very easy to see that Adam and Eve had kids, who had kids, who had kids, because there's no timetable given here. And if they're coming of age as teenagers, say, and of course they're not going to high school and college, they're just living and procreating and living off the land, then how many generations does it take to have a ton of people? So in our society, we don't start having kids usually till the early 20s, mid-20s, and sometimes we prolong kids. But if everybody was having kids at, like, say, 14, and then all of a sudden the generations are compressed, and you have not just 1 or 2 kids, but 6 kids or 7 kids who have kids, it's not hard to see that there would be a lot of people very quickly. And it's not a deal breaker here on the truth of the scripture. It's just that that part of the narrative is not in here, but just matter of factly, it's like he's worried about all these other people that are out there, that because he's cursed, they will kill him. Now here's God's mercy to Cain. Verse 15, the Lord said to him, not so. If anyone kills Cain, vengeance shall be taken on him sevenfold. In other words, I'm really going to discipline them, or I'm going to take vengeance on them. I'm going to protect you. And the Lord put a mark on Cain, lest anyone who found him should attack him. So God's protecting him by his grace. And then Cain went away from the presence of the Lord. That's interesting. It's not he just went away from the area he was living. He went away from the Lord. His sin is driving him away from God. In the New Testament, we're going to see that our sin has alienated us from God. All have sinned and fall short of the glory of God. The wages of sin is death. And the wickedness of our hearts drives us from God, not to God. And here's the root of that problem. And he settled in the land of Nod, east of Eden. Now what we're going to see is the sin is going to not just go from Adam and Eve to Cain and their kids, but into society itself.